How's it going, everybody? Stavagita saying, what is good to all my Super Saiyan homies? And today I am here to answer a bit of a question, or a few, I guess, different questions that I've been kind of getting over the past few days. And I think they're justified considering, the content we've been seeing for the last 3 weeks, and now I think it's pretty much confirmed it'll be 4 weeks, so it's going to be about a month now. So we're now seeing that we're going on again. I think this is week 4 of just getting Zenkais, not getting new characters. And a question I've been getting asked a lot is, do you think it's worth it to be focusing on Zenkai characters over new characters, as well as if you are going to look at Zenkai characters, should you just go all the way up to Zenkai 7, or can you stop at a certain level and maybe save some CC for some of those other the new characters and hype characters? I am going to give my honest opinion. I'm going to give a simple answer to start, and I'm going to break it down from there. My simple answer to start is I think if you are a free-to-play player, if you are not somebody who's putting any type of money into the game whatsoever, and I'm not talking about light spenders here. I'm talking about exclusively free-to-play, 100% free-to-play. Like, not doing anything, maybe, the assist-a-bot, and that's it. If you are a free-to-play player, Zenkai. That's it. I cannot stress this enough. The idea of going after the new characters over the Zenkais, just because they might be the flashy toys in the toy box, I think is part of the reason why a lot of free-to-play players have kind of gotten annoyed and frustrated and want to leave the game. I know it's not the most exciting thing to not get the new units and to not get the most flashy toys in the toy box, but let's be honest, we all know what it is like to be Shaft on the new banner. You could have saved 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, upwards of 10k CC and not get the new units, and we all know that feeling. We all know that frustration. It's a terrible feeling that no one likes to go through, and it's the main issue with gacha games, especially if you're gonna be free to play, is that you could be missing out on a lot of solid units to complete a team for you just because you didn't necessarily have the best luck. And Zenkais kind of mitigate that, because is every Zenkai absolutely amazing? No, absolutely not. As you guys will notice, I have just about every Zenkai. A good amount of them are Zenkai 7. A good amount of them are Zenkai 7. Not all of them, but a good amount. And not everybody's fully soul boosted either. The ones that I don't have at Zenkai 7 are the ones that I didn't necessarily feel were worth it to go nuts for, or I just there was something else going on at the time that I couldn't focus on them. The only exception to that one is Android 18. I got her to Zenkai 1, and I didn't do anything other than that, and I genuinely, it has been my biggest regret in Legends to date. Anyway, that being said, I can genuinely say that even though every Zenkai 7 is not necessarily stupid broken, stupid busted, or anything like that, they all perform well. They all do what they're supposed to do. They are all annoying to face in some manner, regard, shape, or form. Even if it's just bare minimum, it's the fact that they're absolute juggernauts in terms of stats. I mean, if we're talking in terms of some of the lower stats, some of the ones with lower stats still have upwards of 160k in the defensive stats, and those are some pretty defensive stats, or impressive stats. I personally will have to say, though, the thing that makes Zenkais so scary and so dominating and so threatening in the meta is not the stat boost they're receiving. It's great. It's a nice thing, absolutely. It makes them very hard to deal with, and again, if you're a free-to-play player, it's a beautiful thing because it's going to give you the stats of, the high starred new units, all while guaranteeing that you're going to have a strong character, as opposed to, maybe chasing after a new character and not even guaranteeing more than a couple of stars. What makes them true juggernauts is their extra passives. And I always like to look at this guy as the primary example when I'm talking to people about this. I think he's one of the exceptions, or not exceptions, but I think he's one of the ones that you could stop at Zenkai 3. I'm not going to sit here and say everybody needs to go to Zenkai 7. As a matter of fact, if you wanted to just stop at Zenkai 6, so you got both passives, you're losing out on a minimal amount of stats. It would be a nice bump, it would help, but you're not losing out on a detrimental amount of stats if you're just stopping at Zenkai 6. That's just to get both passives, that's just that. If anybody noticed, my Demon King Piccolo is that way. When he first came around, that was just what I thought was going to be best for him. And then when he came back around, I don't remember what was going on, but I wasn't focusing on him for the 1k CC to get him, and they hadn't brought the dailies back. This Goku, his first passive, I think it is just enough to justify him stopping at Zenkai 3. And I think there are some units like this. Because this passive right here, the one that restores ki, as well as giving damage inflicted to allied God Ki members, this, I think, makes or breaks him, because at his core, he's really just a tanky unit. He's really just a tanky boy, and that's going to kind of start to show up even at Zenkai 1. So this, I think, is the passive that's going to make him worthwhile, whereas this passive right here you're really only missing out on a little bit extra damage inflicted. For him personally, that is. I personally think the supportive one is a bit more important to his kit. I think you can live without the just slight extra damage bonus, but that's just me. Then there are units like Super Saiyan 3, where this guy, I think if you don't have him at Zenkai 6, I don't necessarily think he's playing to his full potential. Because truth be told, this drawing a strike when he enters, based on having another Saiyan in the party, as well as reducing his damage received, those are crucial, because those are crucial because if I'm being honest with you, I've said this a few times now, I don't necessarily believe Super Saiyan 3 should be Z tier. I think he should be S, personally. That's just me. But I think if you were to get rid of this passive altogether, I don't think he's worth a lick of shit, if I'm being honest with you. So that's that. Those are my two examples when I'm talking about, hey, these are examples of this is a unit you should be going all the way for, and this is a unit that you could stop, Z3 and be comfortable. Another thing I want to point out, I wish I had mentioned it sooner. One of the other things you have to consider is Zenkais are gonna be crucial to the longevity of this game. They are gonna be crucial to keeping this game alive. And a lot of people are probably sitting here going, what do you mean, Stavi? All it is just bumping up and boosting old characters. Well, yes, but let's remember, they used to pump out characters like really fast. I believe when the game first came out, they were doing weekly, if I remember correctly. Like, we were getting new characters every single week, and then they dropped it down to bi-weekly, and we kind of started to see a drop down in content for just a little while until they revamped the Zenkais. Once they revamped the Zenkais, we were getting content every week. We were getting new character, new Zenkai, new character, new Zenkai. Now it seems like we're just getting the Zenkais for a little while, and the characters are really only going to be coming for those super hype moments. And I think that that's crucial for keeping the game alive, because let's be real here. We've seen pretty much just about every hype moment that you could think of. All the DBZ hype moments, I'm fairly certain have been covered. I think we had a few movie ones missing, but I can't really think of another DBZ LF other than maybe the villain ones that people are talking about. And if I'm being honest here, I think Kid Buu is really the only one who deserves one, because he's the only one who like blew up the earth or anything. He's the only one who like quote unquote finished a battle. Maybe another LF Frieza from DBZ. You know, maybe him killing Krillin. But that's it. Those are the only like. Oh, and I personally believe Yajirobe needs an LF. I'm not even joking about that. I believe Yajirobe deserves an LF for the defeat over Great Ape Vegeta. That being said, though, I stand by my statement. We're running low on good moments. We're running low on memorable snippets from the show for them to be making units off of. So we're going to kind of have to start seeing some reprinted characters, some dual units, some stuff like that. And so in doing all that, the game is going to kind of have to slow down with the amount of new characters they're putting out. Otherwise, we're not going to see a 5th anniversary, a 6th anniversary like Dokkan. And I truly believe that this game has the potential to last that long, if not longer. But you know, these are the things that we're going to have to consider. And it'll work out that, you know, if we're seeing some of the older Zenkais really kind of take priority for a little while, it'll work out that it'll kind of balance out to the same way that it did in the first place. We'll kind of see this pattern of the original units getting a Zenkai, then we'll start to see a balance between new units and Zenkais again, and then we'll start to see the units that are new to us currently get Zenkai'd, and it'll start to shift again back towards Zenkais, and it can kind of just keep balancing itself. And so that's something I don't think people are taking into consideration, is that these Zenkais are going to be crucial to allowing the game the timing and the pacing that we're going to need to let the game live. And while it's frustrating right now because they're still very new, if we think about it, in the grand scheme of the game, Zenkai units are still pretty new. And if we're considering that, if we're thinking about that, they're still pretty scary and threatening to face. But as we're starting to see more competent Z7 teams showing up in the meta, more competent compositions, like Regen's now got a few variations of Z7. We're seeing females going to have some Z7s. We're seeing androids has Z7. Son family, Vegeta family's got a couple of Zenkais now. It's like we're starting to see a bit more balance. Things are balancing themselves out. And this is kind of something I said around at the 2nd anniversary too, is that everybody just kind of needs to be patient with the game. There's going to be moments of frustration. There are going to be moments of power creep. There are going to be moments where we see busted units for a couple of weeks. Absolutely, undeniably so. But if we give it time and if we look at these things and we consider how these things balance out over time, you'll see that these things, while they may seem frustrating in the short term, in the long term, they're going to allow the game to play out. So I guess my long answer to everybody's question is you should be Zenkaiing your units. All the other units, they're going to come back around. You're going to get a chance to buff them up and get them to a good star level and everything like that, so that when their time comes to get Zenkai'd, you'll have them at a star rank to do so. But until then, you know, I absolutely believe that every free-to-play player, or even low spenders for that matter, is better off having a Zenkai 7 unit and having a competent Zenkai 7 team than they are having a competent 3-star future team, a 3-star movie team, and stuff like that. I just think you're better off. It's a better use of your Chrono Crystals because, again, you're guaranteeing the character, as opposed to with a banner, you're not necessarily sure if you're going to even pull them with what you saved. So yeah, that's just that. I know that might not be the answer everybody was looking for, but I truly believe that is the best way to be approaching the game right now. That you should be at bare minimum Z3ing your characters, and you should really be focusing on Zenkais rather than focusing on new units. You're guaranteeing yourself a good character, you're guaranteeing yourself a good build, and you can put a little bit of CC into the other banners here and there, throughout time, you know, do dailies, do a multi here and there on the new characters and stuff like that. You'll build up your arsenal, you'll build up your repertoire, so that this way when those flashy characters come back around and get their Zenkais, you'll be ready to go for them. We weren't originally prepared for Zenkais. It wasn't something we ever considered in the game, but now it's here. We know it'll be around. You guys can prepare for these flashier units to get these Zenkais later down the road, all while also still using strong characters to somewhat mitigate the whales of the community, to fight against the Gareshes, to fight against the D-Frees, to fight against the Miis, for that matter. I should not have compared myself to D3 and D-Free and Garesh. On that note, I am not even remotely on their level, other than spending wise. I'm gonna end this video. Oh, I did it again. I recorded this the first time and I forgot to include this the first time I recorded it. I did it again on this one. The last thing I'm going to include, people ask me about Zenkai abilities all the time. Zenkai abilities, super simple, folks. They're like Z abilities. They're the exact same thing, but unlike where you're just trying to get the tag, it's tag and color. You have to be both. You have to have both of those things. That's it. All right. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.